Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. A guy that I've seen up and down the country many times over the last few years in various shows, but never spoken to him before. Shane Richie Jr, how you doing?
Hi, mate. Yeah, really well, thank you.
Do you know, it's good being you. I look at you and what could have happened. You've got two of the most brilliant, talented, famous people as parents in the country, and you've managed to establish yourself as a talent in your own right, and that's not easy, so kudos for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, people are always expecting me to... don't get me wrong, my name's Shane Richie Jr, so obviously I'm using the name a bit, but he doesn't come to my gigs for me, or he doesn't get me an audition or anything like that. So yeah, no, thank you, I appreciate that.
I love your dad. For one, he's up there for me with the Brian Connollys and the Bradley Walsh. He's funny, he's an actor. I mean, you've got a lot to follow in the steps of, in a way, haven't you? Because he's good at everything he does, and few people achieve that.
Yeah, he's really, really good. And, I do get, especially in reviews of shows, how he reminds me of his dad and all that, and I take it as a compliment, because my dad's brilliant. So, if I remind you of my old man, then brilliant. And yeah, I totally agree with you in the sense of Bradley Walsh, Brian Connollys. There's not many entertainers out there like that anymore, and it's a shame.
Yeah, it is. And then we look at your mum. I mean, I worked with her on Loose Swimming when I did a bit of warm-up and stuff like that. And over the years, the books and the DVDs. In her own right, again, she's mastered the art and she's still here. And to think that as a child star, there she was singing those relatively average songs. And she's made a huge career out of it. Again, amazing, isn't it? Success.
Yeah, and I think it's down to just being them.
Yes.
Like, they're not trying to be anybody else. They're full on. How you see them is how they are. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's basically down to the pair of them. Mum's case on a chat show is she's exactly like that.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Well, you couldn't fake it for 10 years, could you, really? You get caught out.
The lot.
I asked Frank Sinatra Jr. this question once. What's it like being the child, the son of somebody that famous? And he said, well, I knew no different. I guess for you, that's the same. They were just mum and dad.
That is exactly the same answer I give all the time. I've never known them not to be famous, so it's sort of, yeah, like I say, I just see him as mum and dad. It's so weird for my friends and other people, but just not for me, my brother, my sister, anyone, so.
Yeah. And then to be born into that and to have to decide what you're going to do for a living. In one way, I guess it would have been easier to be a doctor or a train driver because nobody would know or judge, but you chose showbiz, or did it chose you?
It was more of it chose me, because I'll be honest with you, out of all my siblings and whatnot, I was the one who wanted to be a footballer.
Right.
And it just didn't take off. I realised that. Got to about 17 and I realised I wasn't good enough. So it sort of chose me. I became a blue coat like my dad was, and that just stemmed from there, really.
And we look at that life. Is that the sexiest gig on earth? Because let's face it, you're surrounded by all these people who come and go 1 week in, 1 week out. There's no real damage limitation there. You can just have fun. Or is it really hard work?
There's a bit of 50-50 with that, yeah. Don't get me wrong, it's one of the hardest jobs I've ever had, and people say, oh, I could get up there and do that. Well, yeah, I'm sure you could for an hour, but try doing it for 14 hours a day with rubbish pay.
Yeah.
It's sometimes more hours than that. But yeah, the plus side was, yeah, I had a bit of fun while I was there. There's no denying that.
It's also interesting now, I see a lot of big stars are going back to the Pontins and the Butlins to entertain. Who did you get to work with back in the day? Who was turning up to entertain the punters that you were working with?
You always get the people that come off X Factor, Britain's Got Talent. You always get them, they're always there. And now in the summer, they are getting some really quite big names. They do weekenders and stuff like that. So like Blue, I mean, 80s, 90s stars are always there. But when I was growing up, I watched, don't know if you know them, but Bobby Bull's kids, the Harper brothers, they're two comics.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal, and they're still going strong now. They were brilliant, and loads of different comics and singers, and who have now become my mates on the circuit, which is really good.
What are you, Shane? I wonder, are you a comedian, an actor, a singer? Because you do all of it. What do you see yourself as?
Oh, well, my day-to-day, where I'm always working, is I'm in a band, so I'm a singer.
Yeah.
And then I've got a different agent now for acting. I really want to be a TV presenter. That's really what I want to go into.
I guess that's the hardest to break into because it seems to be a done job who gets gigs and who doesn't these days. The singing side of it, I saw a clip of you on YouTube actually, and I was really impressed. Firstly, because they were talking when you started singing, and by the end they weren't. I guess that's the key to being a great entertainer. Can you win them over?
Yeah, and it's always going to be hard. I mean, especially, do you know what I find? With women, I sort of already win because they love my dad, they love my mum and all that. With men, it's always like, who's this guy? What's he doing?
Yeah.
Why is my woman looking at him? Sort of thing. I'm not being big-headed there, but it's always hard to win the men over.
Yeah.
Also, if the bloke comes up to me at the end of a gig and says, "Oh, I really enjoyed that, mate," I get a lot more out of that than a woman coming over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, absolutely.
It's always hard when. We did a rugby tournament the other week,
wow.
And I thought, oh, here we go. We're just going to get bottles thrown at us a lot, but they loved it, and I always find that a little bit more satisfying when you can entertain a group of lads as a group of lads on stage.
I love your tone. You've got one of those voices again, and I mean this as a compliment. It's an old style voice. It's a cabaret voice. It's that musical theatre sort of hit 'em at the back. And I love that because it enables you to sing anything. And I know you do a lot of modern stuff, but you can also croon with the best of them, can't you? Were you trained, or again, was that something you were blessed with?
No, I wasn't trained. My little brother was trained. He went to Sylvia Young. Like I said, I literally played football. I didn't start singing until I was 19. And then I got drunk on karaoke one night as a bluecoat and did Sex on Fire. And then he put me in the show from there on. So I wish I had, I'll be honest with you, I could go back and change a lot of things. I mean, it's never too late to train. But I wish I could go back and train because there's a lot of things I do differently. I struggle sometimes when I do like 6 gigs in a row and then I can't speak for 2 days.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of training would help with that. But yeah, no, I really, in fact, funny you say that, it's the swing stuff my voice, I think, suits the most.
Yeah, I think so. I think you could easily be the British Bublé, something like that.
Don't stop it.
No, I'm serious. I think that's certainly something you could do. Just going back to the football thing, how serious were you about it? And when you didn't make it, how gutted were you? Or was it just one of those things every lad wants to be a footballer?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of that. But at the same time, I was gutted, yeah. But I think I realised quite young that I didn't have the right temperament, I wasn't mentally prepared for it. I preferred going out with my pals, trying to chat up birds at the weekend and training 4 times a week. I think, honestly, I've got a lot of respect for footballers in the sense that it does take your life over. It's dedication. I mean, the rewards are you get paid $200 grand a week if you make it, do you know what I mean? But, yeah, no, I was gutted. I still look back and think, I wish I'd have tried harder.
Yeah.
But I'd do a lot of things if I could go back, so...
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Christ, I'd live about 2/3 of my life again if I had the chance.
yeah.
One thing you do have that I don't, because I'm a deeply unattractive man, is you've got the old good looks and the charm of your father. And I noticed this new tour you're going on, Here Come the Boys tour. That intimidates the crap out of me. How do you walk on the stage under the premise that I'm hot and they're going to scream at me? That's interesting.
Let me tell you that Here Come the Boys. I'm on a poster with Ray Quinn, Jake Quicken and Nathan Moore. But 3 of them are pretty much topless. I'm hoping I'm going on first, to be honest, because they're 3 good-looking lads, and I wouldn't class myself as good-looking. I'm sure my girlfriend would, and my mum thinks I'm gorgeous. But it is weird. I think a gig like that, they're very strange. I mean, normally gigs it's just me, so it's not too bad. But that gig will be, please let me go on first. I will be nervous. There's no denying that because of a lot of them. I mean, I haven't got a huge fan base, so I would have thought the massive fan base would be there to see Ray and Jake and Nathan. So, yeah, I suppose that'll be another gig where I'll have to win them over. So that'll be good. I look forward to the challenge, to be honest.
Purely by coincidence, I'm doing Ray tomorrow because he's got a tour going out later in the year as well as a singer. It is interesting, isn't it, in 2016, though, that image is everything. I wonder, again, as a guy who goes to the gym and huffs and puffs and can't get anywhere, still looks as bad as he did 6 years ago, how much pressure is there on you to have the full package? Can you just be talented and wolf ugly?
Yeah, I think in my line of work, you definitely can. I don't think it's as bad an image in my line of work. I think once you step it up and you start doing theatres and you're on telly a lot more like Ray is, because Ray's a really good friend of mine. We play football every week together, so yeah, he's a really good mate of mine, Ray.
Yeah.
And I think on him there is a real, because he had that whole thing as a child, and he was the little fat one from Brookside.
Yes.
But there is. Like I said, my line of work, there's not as much because people are on holiday. They're not bothered really. They just want to get up and dance. Whereas as soon as you get to theatre, telly, there is an image, and they say the telly gets £10, don't they?
He's gone to another extreme, hasn't he? And I saw Jake on Loose Women last week, and again, these guys must be spending a long time looking like that. I don't know whether I could be asked, to be honest.
No, I mean, I'm going to. Funny enough, I'm going to the gym after this, and I've just got myself a personal trainer, and it's the most horrendous thing. I try and put it off every week. But with them, you've got to be in the zone for it, and fair play to them. I wish I could, but I actually don't mind being a bit of a chubster. I just enjoy food too much, I'll be honest.
Well, that's right, and you've got to be awfully disciplined to keep it up, haven't you? It's one thing looking like it, but then you can't in 6 months' time end up looking like Rick Waller.
You know, because it takes 6 months to get it all off. It takes about a week to put it all back on.
Yeah, tell me about it. Here come the boys' tour. September 2nd, you're going to be at the Village Hotel in Ashton. What do we get in that? Just tell us what happens. You walk out and do what? Are you going to sing for us?
Yeah, I think we're all doing about half an hour each, and then we might do a big group song at the end. It's actually been put together through my manager, Danny Lowry, who's put a few of them together. And it was a shame because there wasn't a lot of publicity about it, and they weren't selling great. This Village Ashton one's picked up now, and hopefully it'll go ahead. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm coming out doing about 35-40 minutes, and it's just getting the crowd going. I'm sure the lads will have the tops off. I've no doubt about that.
Will you have your top off, or are you keeping yours on?
Another thing coming.
Yeah.
We've got to keep these people in there, and if I'm on first.
The last time I saw you on stage was in Nottingham last night at DJ Save My Life, that thing with David Hasselhoff, and I'm going to be honest with you, it was not my favourite show ever. Talking of favourite shows, yesterday I was in London, I saw Groundhog Day. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's amazing, a really good new show. That wasn't particularly, but having said that, you sort of screamed out as the big talent in it, and again, purely on the vocals, because there wasn't much script. Did you enjoy doing that show?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I've gained some friends for life from it, and it was a real fun show. I know what you mean. A lot of the reviews were like that. I find that a lot of the reviews were bad when we were in really big venues. Sound wasn't up to big venues, and it should have been. It was a lot of one-nighters, so it's hard to get the sound right and stuff like that. And the script was cheesy, but I mean, if it was, you know what I always said, it was perfect before a pre-night out. The music was there for a pre-night out and stuff like that.
Yeah. It was Campbell nonsense.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It was a good show. I mean, I go into every show wanting to love it. I'm not one of those guys. I don't see myself as a critic. I want to celebrate everybody and everything I see. Just some shows are more difficult to celebrate than others, aren't they?
No, I get that. I totally get that. Speaking of Groundhog Day, I really want to see that. I've got a really good friend in that, so it's only on for another few weeks. Yeah,
do tell him I was in the matinee yesterday, and it's one of the best things I've seen, probably in 10 years, one of the best new musicals. It's so clever. Yeah, really brilliant. And then I wonder about the critics and the criticism. I mean, when I look at your mum and dad, they're two people who aren't afraid to say what they think and end up in the papers often for opening their mouths. Your mother on Loose Women doesn't care, and I know privately, you occasionally text to say, please don't say that. Do you become sort of rhinoceros skin in the end, where it doesn't matter, it's just about the family and whatever the press say is irrelevant, or can they still hurt you?
No, they can still. It's not necessarily hurt me. They can still make me angry and rile me up. When they say stuff that is just completely come from a third party, or it's just completely not true.
Right.
Because you get your friends texting you, or your family texting you, go, is your mum all right? Is your dad all right? And it's like, it's just not true.
Yeah.
So then you think, do other people think that? And of course they do, because everyone believes what they read at the front of the paper. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
it's just like, oh God. I mean, especially when my mum, God bless her, was in the Big Brother house. The amount of Twitter wars I had was, I mean, I kind of enjoyed a bit of a Twitter war, but yeah, I had a few while she was in the Big Brother house, and she did nothing wrong. It was just really annoying.
I notice you don't do that sort of low rent stuff. I know it's highly paid, but I mean, if we look at it at the moment and the Bears of the world, do you deliberately avoid that? Because it seems to me you can't really win. I mean, I love Biggins. I've known him for 20 years and he's still managed to put his foot in it. It's hard to come out of that unscathed, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at these, I mean, I'll probably get slated for saying this, but you look at these reality stars and they know exactly what they're doing in these shows.
Yeah. They
know exactly how to be on telly. And it's so annoying, for people who have got a talent, who are there on credit, really. These people are credit for having sleeping with each other on telly, and they're on Big Brother, and they're in the final, and it's like, well, you know, and Biggins, I know Biggins, my mum knows Biggins really well. He's made one comment and got thrown out. That bear has made about 60 comments and still in there, so it's just like, where's the line, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One rule for one rule for another.
There's definitely an agenda. And again, I just wonder, as a talented fella, you're sat there, does it frustrate you that these people are getting more publicity, more front pages, and therefore more money and more gigs because they do that? I struggle to understand it. I'm sat here talking to you in my front room and wondering how other people sort of get on. It is a strange place, and I don't think we've been in this situation before in show business, have we, where those with no talent are earning more money than those who have?
No, personally, we have this conversation all the time in our house, and we're hoping it's just a phase that this country or this world's going through at the minute, where reality stars are, you know, they're getting more money. You know, they turn up to these bars or nightclubs and they get 10 grand in their hand.
Yeah, I know.
What for? What for? Shouting at each other and having a fight on telly? It's just, it's not on in my eyes. I mean, I know a few of the reality stars, and they're great, they're lovely people, and they know how lucky they are, which is good. A few of them, they know they're just, you know, they're getting away with it at the minute. But yeah, it's so frustrating, so frustrating. I know so many talented people who are earning, you know, 150 quid for singing for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's really, really frustrating. But I mean, I'm hoping times will change eventually. People will wake up and smell the coffee at some point. I'm sure they will.
Am I giving them too more credit by thinking it's an act and they're actually smarter than we are? I mean, I always say that about Katie Price whenever I talk to her. She's the most famous and richest of them all. But actually, under that facade of the blonde and the boobs, there's actually an incredibly clever businesswoman. Are these people, are the bears of the world smart, or are they just literally going in there, having the time of their lives and earning thousands?
I think there's a bit of 50-50 on that as well, because I'm sure there's no way that Joey Essex can be that thick. There's no way that Bear is that crazy. There's just no way. But then at the same time, I spoke to a few people who know him, and he is that crazy. So,
right.
So it's like, I don't know. Maybe he is just, I mean, I find him, I mean, I said a bit on Twitter last night when I was watching Big Brother, and I didn't get slated for it. 50% agreed with me, and 50% people. And it's funny, the generations who agreed with me, the younger generation loved Bear.
Right.
And anyone with half a brain cell didn't.
And is it a male-female thing as well? Because I look at that and I just think, I just end up punching him in the face. I know I would, but then again, I'm not looking at his abs thinking, oh, he's a nice bit of totty.
No, I mean, if he didn't open his mouth, he's not a bad-looking fella.
That's the quote of the day. He'd be great if he didn't open his mouth.
Yeah, he's not a bad-looking fella. And to be honest, fair play to him, because without him on this series, it would have been a bit boring.
Yeah, you're right.
But then I think, to the editors, do they just focus on all the bad things? Because I know, obviously, my mum's friend Sarah was in there.
Yeah.
From Loose Women, and she said that Katie Rachel had them all in stitches every day. They had a laugh every day, but you never saw that.
No, interesting.
All you saw was, so it's like they're editing it for certain people to. I mean, I could talk about with this all day. I could rant about it all day. But
yeah, me too. And would you ever do it? Is it something that you would choose to do if they came up with the right amount?
I'd rather not, and rather go about it a different way. But listen, who am I to turn down the money Big Brother offer?
If Biggins can do it.
No, it's not even that. You look at some of the A-list Hollywood stars they've got in it.
Yeah.
Over the few years, you know, Michael Madsen, whatever it is, and people like that, and you're thinking, wow, do these people really need to do Big Brother? But, you know, I enjoy watching it, I enjoy the programme. So, yeah, I probably would do it, even though my mum would be in bits the whole 4 weeks I was in there.
Yeah, I don't think she'd like that very much. And then we look at the future, and firstly, I should have said this right at the beginning, congratulations the new baby. We've seen all the pictures, and I know your mum was over the moon. What's it like being a dad?
It's absolutely the best thing ever in the world. Yeah, it's incredible. I had her all day yesterday. I was covered in poo, sick, slapped me a couple of times, but you know what? I wouldn't have changed it for the world.
You make it sound so glamorous.
It's so... I tell you what I do have. I mean, me and the mother, Emma, we're not together, but we get on well for Amelia's sake. I have so much more respect for single parents. Yeah. Parents in general. It's just one of the... I mean, I only had her for 5 hours yesterday, 6 hours. And I was shattered. So I've got a lot of respect, but you know what? She's amazing. My mum is besotted with her. The whole family is actually, so... yeah, I've got her again tomorrow, so I look forward to that.
Is it tough being a single father and knowing that you're not together? Did that enter into it, or was it just life and you're getting on with it?
I think, I mean, I hate to say it, but there's not many parents that are together in this day and age at the minute. It's just I don't know if it's just the world we live in at the minute. It's not don't get me wrong, it's not the right thing to do, but it just happened and we just got on with it. I mean, she's a great mum. I think I'm a great dad, and we get on for Amelia's sake. So, you know, we're never going to be together. We know that, and I've got a separate relationship, and I think she's seen someone. So, yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine.
And that love, is there any way of describing it when you see this little thing in front of you that you're responsible for that ultimately will die unless you feed it and change it and keep it safe? Is there any way of explaining that terror and love at the same time?
Do you know what? No, there isn't. There's no love for it. It's the strangest feeling in the world. Because obviously, yeah, you love your girlfriend, you love your mum, and you can sort of explain that. But when it's your own flesh and blood and you've created it, it's just... honestly, words can't describe it. It's really, really, it's strange actually. It's weird.
And I guess this is the tough bit now, because they don't do very much in the beginning. I guess you're like me, you wait for sort of the 2-3 when you can actually have fun and do stuff and take them down the Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
All men around the world know that.
Yeah. That's the reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit boring at this point.
Yeah, and she's starting to crawl now, so you can't take your eyes off her, and you're just like, oh God. So at that stage, and when she was originally born, I was like, it's boring, isn't it? But part of me wanted to go back to that.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I know, I've heard.
And then that bit where they end up in a police van being brought home at 5 in the morning.
Don't say that, not my
Listen, I want to congratulate you. I've got huge respect for what you do and how you do it, and to be given the gift you have. I think to have the parents you did was a blessing to begin with, because it's impossible not to, through some sort of ulterior force, become a sign of a part of their personality, and you were blessed with that. At the very least, your dad's humour and his ability to ad-lib is second to none, and if you've just got 1/10 of that, it's going to fare you well, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what, he always gives me advice, and they both do. They both help me out massively, so I can't thank them enough. So, yeah, I appreciate that, thank you. What
are you up to next? I mean, the gigs seem to be coming in thick and fast. You did panto in the past and these musicals as well, which again is a great discipline. Are you going to do more of that?
Yeah, I'm always auditioning and looking out for stuff like that. I've got a tour of Ireland in November with the band. We're doing songs from musicals, Boogie Nights, Dirty Dancing, and stuff like that as a cast. There's only a small cast, but it'll be a good little show.
Nice.
All the dates through for that, so that's good. That's taken up the whole of November, and then I'm always auditioning and I'm always gigging with the lads. I'm literally up and down the country. I mean, from Devon to Scotland, so yeah, we're up and down everywhere. So
tough life. People forget that life on the road is tricky, isn't it?
Everyone goes, "Oh, your job's easy. You only have to go on stage for an hour." Yeah, but it took me 6.5 to get here.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. I know it's only driving, but honestly, when you're getting home at 5:30 in the morning, driving, that's the hardest part of our job. Because once we are on stage, that is the easy part sometimes. Have you got a dream gig in a musical you'd like? I've always wanted to be either a rhinoceros or a giraffe in The Lion King. What about you? Yeah, well, I love The Lion King. I mean, ideally, I know I'm never going to play it, but I'd like to be one of the... Well, never say never on one of them, but I've always wanted Jersey Boys. Always wanted to
it's cool. Very good.
And I always wanted to be the lead in We Will Rock You when that was on tour.
Well, it's coming back next year, so there's a chance.
Yeah, there was that is a tough sing. Wow.
Yeah, it is.
There's loads of things. I mean, my little sister's favourite is Les Mis the other day, and that blew my mind, that show. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but I loved every minute of it. The trouble with that one is, at the end of the show, all the cast are dead and they're the lucky ones. It's a bit downbeat, isn't it? I mean, it was emotionally draining. I don't normally like going to the theatre and seeing a show where you leave feeling devastated.
I know. Yeah, it's magical.
There's loads of roles.
Listen, really good to talk to you. Keep in touch and go and see Here Come the Boys, 2nd of September, the Village Hotel in Ashton. And you can just put in Shane Richie Jr. into Google, and all the dates for the live show will come with the Shane Richie Band as well. Really lovely to talk to you. Thanks, Shane.
And you, Alex. Thank you very much, mate.